What's up everyone? My name is Anand from Underdog Strength, and today I'm going to share with you how to increase your barbell bench press. Even if you are not a powerlifter, the goal of increasing your barbell bench press is a good goal to have, because in the process that it takes in order to build your bench press, you will end up building a lot of muscle and a lot of upper body strength. Now, you may have been benching for quite a while and you may even be stuck on your bench press. So today I'm going to share with you 7 ways to increase your barbell bench press. The first way is to improve your technique. Most people who go to the gym don't really know how to bench the correct way. If you want to look at the best bench pressers in the world, you have to look at some of the best powerlifters. If you learn the powerlifting style of bench press, you will not only be using all the muscles that are involved in the bench press, which is your chest, your triceps and your shoulders, but you will also be able to do it in a safe way. What makes a good bench press technique? For a good bench press technique, the first thing you need to learn is how to retract your shoulders or your scapula, which simply means that instead of pressing like this, you press like this. You want to bring your shoulder blades back and down and keep it that way for the entire movement. The second thing you want to learn is how to arch your back, specifically your upper back. Now, you don't need to have a crazy arch like many powerlifters do, but you do want to have a little bit of an arch, and this will ensure that your shoulders are in a safe position and that you can bench press with a slightly decreased range of motion. So even if your shoulders are retracted, instead of pressing like this, if you have a slight arch, you can press like this. The third thing you want to do in terms of technique is to tuck your elbows. Most people try to focus too much on the chest and they end up flaring the elbows too much while benching, and this not only puts your shoulders in an unsafe position, but it's not very efficient either. So instead of pressing like this, you want to tuck your shoulders to about 45 degrees and press like this. And a good cue for this is try to bend the bar. So when you go to bend the bar, your elbows will automatically come in, and then you press back up. The next thing you want to focus on in terms of technique is to remain tight. Now, a lot of people when they begin the movement, they're very tight, but as soon as they reach the bottom, they lose all the tightness, and you will often see that their chest collapses, and you don't want that. You want to remain tight for the entire movement. And the final step that you want to learn in terms of technique is the use of correct leg drive. Even though the bench press is an upper body movement, legs play an important role in stabilizing the body and also helping you to move the weight indirectly. So let's quickly go over the bench press setup. You want to take an even grip on the bar. You want to retract your shoulder blades. You want to arch the upper back. You want to set up your legs for correct leg drive. You want to tuck your elbows on the way down to about 45 degrees, and you want to stay tight throughout the movement. One of the easiest ways or the fastest ways to learn the correct bench technique is to use something called the slingshot. Basically, you slide your arms into the slingshot sleeves, and the slingshot will make sure that your elbows fall into the correct position to bench press. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is that they tend to flare their elbows too much. The slingshot will ensure that your elbows are tucked into position. The slingshot will also allow you to lift a little bit more weight, maybe about 10% more than you can lift without it. And it would also help you keep your shoulders safe. If you want to try out the slingshot, check out the link in the description below. Okay, so now that we have our technique down, the second way to improve your bench press is to bench more often. A lot of people go to the gym and they train their chest on Monday, and this is very common. But if you really want to improve your bench, you need to bench press at least 2 times per week. And a lot of the best benchers in the world bench press to anywhere between 2 and 4 times a week. And this is because, first of all, when you bench press more often, you learn the right technique and you practice the right technique over and over again. The other benefit of bench pressing more often is that the higher training frequency will ultimately lead to more muscle mass because of the increased muscle protein synthesis following a training session. So if you train only once a week, you essentially stop growing that muscle once it is recovered about 2 to 3 days after that training session. But if you train again after 2 to 3 days, you restart the whole muscle protein synthesis process. The third way to increase your bench press is to use exercise variation. Now, for most people, performing only the bench press is not enough. You have to add in other exercise variations to build up your primary movers, which are your chest, triceps, and shoulders. Using different exercises in addition to your bench press will not only help you target your weak points, but it will also help you build more muscle overall. This brings us to our fourth way of increasing the bench press, is to build more muscle overall. Now, the bench press by itself is a great muscle builder, and if we add in the appropriate exercise variations, we will be building a lot of muscle mass in our chest, shoulders, and triceps. But what about the other upper body muscle groups, such as your upper back, your traps, your lats? All of these indirectly play a role in increasing your bench press. First of all, if you have more muscle mass overall, you will be a bigger person and your range of motion will be reduced a little bit. And the other muscles such as the lats, shoulders, traps, they act as stabilizers and help keep you in a safer position. The fifth way to increase your bench press is to gain weight. Now, I don't mean that you recklessly start eating a lot of food and gain a bunch of weight, but if you go about this in a smart way, that is, if you go on a lean bulk where you gain anywhere between 1 and 2 pounds per month, you will be adding a lot of muscle by doing so. And also a bigger person will generally be able to move more weight. The sixth way to increase your bench press is to use different rep ranges. Many times people are either training only low reps or only high reps. Both of these have their benefits, and in order to have a complete program, you need to incorporate periods of low reps and periods of high reps. You can also do this within the same week, where you can have one heavy day where you train low reps, and then you can have one lighter day where you can train for higher reps. The low reps will help you increase your skill in terms of benching, and the high reps will make it more efficient to add in more volume and ultimately lead to more hypertrophy. The seventh way of increasing your bench press is to use wrist wraps. Now, wrist wraps are pretty straightforward. Basically what you do is you put your thumb in the loop and you wrap it around your wrist. Depending on the length of your wrap, you might be able to wrap this around 3 or 4 times usually, and you can go ahead and bench now. The benefit of the wrap is, first of all, the wrist joint is a pretty small joint for most people, and in order to keep it safe in the long term, especially as you get stronger and stronger on the bench, the wrist wrap will help protect your wrist, and also it will help you keep your wrist straight. You will see that many people with the bench, they have the wrist all the way back like that. Not only is this a little bit less efficient in terms of force transfer, but over time it can place a lot of pressure on your wrist. So it's important for safety purposes and to be able to press in a straight line, which is the most efficient way to press, to use wrist wraps. I will leave a link in the description below to the wrist wraps I like. There you have it. The 7 ways of increasing your bench press are: number 1, focus on your technique. Number 2, bench press more often. Number 3, use different exercise variations. Number 4 is to build overall muscle mass in the upper body. Number 5 is to gain some weight by doing a slow lean bulk. Number 6 is to use different rep ranges in your training. And number 7 is to use wrist wraps when you bench press. If you have any additional tips that you want to share, make sure to leave them in the comment below, and make sure to subscribe for more great content like this. Also, make sure to check out the article I wrote on this very topic, which goes into more detail on my site underdogstrength.com, and the links to everything will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.